Hey YouTube, this is Firewizard23 here to give you another book review of The Waterstone by Rebecca Rupp. My first gut reaction of this book, one of the best books I have ever read in terms of its narrative structure. How detailed it is, and how complete a resolution I felt the story was. Spoilers. We have a young man featured here on the cover here. His name is Tad. He's living a happy life in his little pond and stuff. The people they are, I believe they are fishermen, and just the water is just their life. That's what they do. He has a little sister named Birdie, I want to say. Is that his name? Her name Birdie? Birdie, yep. And his father, I can't remember the father's name. The water one day suddenly just begins drying up, and they start going towards the source to try to figure out what's going on. The father is almost magically entranced into drowning himself, and through a series of this mishaps and stuff, Tad and Birdie find a dryad or a tree witch who basically explains that the only reason the water will be drying up is because one of the great races, the nymphs, are using the Waterstone for very selfish reasons, the Waterstone being the very source of all water. There are three main ancient races in this world, the Nymphs, the Dryads, and the Kobolds. And she says, the only way you can do this is you're going to have to find the Nymphs and convince them to get the Waterstone back. That's really the only way to undo all this, because the world is completely drying up. He meets a bunch of colorful. It's been so many years since I've read this book, but I just remember feeling so satisfied by it. I still have the book. Upon realizing this, I'm like, I should read this again because I really remember just liking this book so much, and I find there's a good, at least good, not a lot of comedy in this book, but I remember a really good comedic moment where they're talking to Treeglin, the wood nymph, or this wood nymph they find, and they're like, why would, and she admits that it was like their responsibility to make sure that none of the races overuse their power too much. And she's like, and they're kind of like, why didn't you do anything? And she's like, well, even I have a right to a break once in a while. And I just like the ancient Guardian characters are like, just yeah, we just got lazy. But what they have to do, actually, Tad and Birdie, and a couple of characters have to join, is they need to convince all these elder races to actually do something, because they get like a stick from the Dryad, and they go to the Kobolds, who apparently are like a wall of just stone faces, and they have to I think they do talk to them, and they just hear this cacophony of voices saying like, no, we're just so tired, we can't help, there's nothing we can do. And it looks like all hope is lost, and then finally one of them is like, have we not lost our pride? Have we lost our pride? What are we doing? And the world will be nothing in destruction. Yes, we are dying, but that doesn't mean our obligation isn't there. And they end up giving like this rock-shaped fist, saying, bring this with you. Because they end up finding, well, I'm going a little fast. We also find Tad is having like these memories coming back that aren't him, of a being called the Sagamore, and it turns out he's a reincarnation of a being who was supposed to reestablish this balance at some point. And him along with these other kid characters, they end up going down into this huge lake where the nymph creature is. We found out Tad's dad is still alive. I'm really sorry about that. It's been a long day. And the magical artifacts, the stick from the nymph and from the Dryad, and the rock from the Kobold, they end up turning into the two characters they met before, and they basically do this like power flux thing, and they beat up the water nymph, and like, yeah, you have to get back to Waterstone, and you can't do this. Ah! And they beat him, and Tad's dad, she like does this thing, stop. The bad guys doing like the thing, don't you come a step closer, or I'll kill him. And the dad actually makes a sacrifice and kills himself. And they end up restoring the world, and Tad and Birdie just end up living the rest of their lives, with Tad now having like all these memories of the Sagamore and stuff, and he's able to kind of support things. I know I'm not giving this book a lot of justice, but God, I really, really like this book. If you are It's a great sprawling adventure that I found incredibly satisfying when I read it. So if you've got, if you really just want to read a really it's not too intense, but I feel like there's enough detail to keep people interested. I feel a good reading level. We're talking definitely somewhere 12 to 15 would probably be the most appropriate reading level to this. But like I found it just so satisfying when I read it. Called The Waterstone by Rebecca Rupp. Go check it out. This is Firewizard23. Take care and bye bye for now, everybody.